This weekend, the village of Rochester Hills will be transformed into an outdoor art gallery. The 16th annual Fine Art in the Village is back, bringing 100 of the best artists from around the country. And joining me right now is a young artist who can make any human likeness carved out of wood. And I've just seen some of the handful of the pieces of artwork that you brought in today. This looks amazing. This is Alec Lacasse, and thank you so much for spending some time and coming in early this morning to talk with us about some of your artwork. Yeah. So tell us, how did you get into this, and how did you kind of develop an interest in wood carving?
I actually had a teacher in school who introduced us to soap carving, and she called my mom and said, you got to get this kid into wood carving. And my mom said, like, what?
You could sense some talent there.
Yeah, I guess so. She bought me the kit, and I absolutely fell in love with carving. I was like an ADHD kid. I couldn't sit in one spot, but when I was given a piece of wood, I could sit there for hours on end and not budge.
So like therapeutic?
It was, absolutely, yeah.
So how young or how old were you whenever you started getting into it?
I was 12.
You were 12?
Yeah, so I was 12 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about this piece, and I mean, how long did this take you to do?
Yeah, well, this is a Native American Plains warrior, and it's done in red oak. And it was originally carved for a 1-hour challenge. So I had an hour to carve it from a tree section. And so brought it home and worked on it for a few hours after that. So all in all, probably 15 or 20 hours into it, roughed in with a chainsaw, and then hand tooled with a gouge, which is a curved chisel. I don't know if you can see that tool.
Yeah.
But it just has a slight curve to it, and that allows you, using a mallet, to drive the wedge into the wood without the edges digging in and tearing the fibers. So I don't know if you can see.
Now, I have to ask, what happens if you make a mistake?
Well, there are ways of adjusting.
You don't make mistakes, though.
Right, yeah, right, exactly, yes. Yeah. No, there are ways of adapting to mistakes with carving. You can always go deeper. There's a point to which you can't, but usually there are ways to fix mistakes. It's not completely lost if you make a mistake. Yeah.
This might be a bad analogy, but is it kind of like getting a haircut? You're like, I'm just going to trim a little bit first.
Exactly.
Because then you can always go shorter.
Exactly.
And then see what you can mold out of it.
Exactly.
So is this size typical? You also have some smaller pieces here. I mean, what size material or what size sculptures do you normally do?
Yeah, generally in this range of sizes, anywhere from the larger pieces to these smaller wall-hanging pieces. Recently I've started doing larger sculptures outdoor, installation, some large wildlife chainsaw carvings that I refine with hand tools.
Okay.
So that's been a completely new endeavor. Been a lot of fun though.
Well, and you mentioned chainsaw. I mean, the detail in some of these smaller pieces is incredible. I mean, you've got all like the veins coming out of the leaves here.
Thanks.
And so how long does some of the smaller stuff take you?
Anywhere from a few hours to a couple of days for a smaller piece. I try to get things done within a couple of days, the smaller ones at least. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the tools that you have over here, because you brought in this other table full of everything else.
Yeah, so there are a range of different tools that we use. 3 main types. There's a gouge, a V-tool, and basically what's called a bench knife. So the gouge is just, as I said before, it's this curved chisel. I don't know if you guys can see that, but this is a number 9, which means that it has a pretty steep curve to it. And that allows you, again, to carve into the wood without the edges digging in. The V-tool, if I can find a V-tool, is really just a V-shaped chisel. And that is really nice. It's called a V-parting tool because it allows you to get these defined shapes in the wood, create these lines. And so then those are the basic tools. This is a sculptor's mallet. It's round because you can always find the center of a round object with your hands intuitively, so it won't glance off and hit your hand.
Genius.
Nice to have.
Simple, good information there. And you can talk to Alec at the art village at the Village of Rochester.
Right. Exactly.
Check out some of the information here now. This is happening. What hours or what time are you going to be there?
Well, I'll be demonstrating from 10 to 11 on Saturday.
Okay.
And then I'll be there for the entire time from noon to 6 on Sunday. But the show runs from 10 to 8 p.m. Activities for kids, artists, 100 artists. A lot of great folks coming, a lot of great artists from all over the country.
Okay, you can find Alec Lacasse there. Thank you so much for coming in and showing us some of your artwork.
Thanks.
It's fantastic.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
We're going to be right back with more news and weather right after this.